Hello, this is Time in the Lizzie, and I really did not want my first video on YouTube to be talking about Reality War. Originally, it was going to be a top 5 ranking of Shruti Gatwa's episodes, but I wanted to talk about Reality War and talk about my opinion of the episode. So there's people saying it's really bad, or there's people saying it's really good. It's very divisive amongst Doctor Who. It's like the equivalent of The Last Jedi to the Star Wars fandom. So, in my opinion, there were some good parts and some really bad parts about the episode. Overall, has a 7.5 out of 10 for me. I really disliked how the villains were handled in the episode. The villains were literally killed off halfway through the episode with only 5 minutes of screen time. Archie Punjabi's Ronnie was eaten by Omega, which I do not like the fact they made Omega a monster. I'm like, why would you do that? It's the Macra all over again. I really disliked what they did with Omega. I really wish he didn't turn into some big monster. I wish he kept his iconic look that he had in the classic Who. And I hate that they just resolved everything within 5 minutes with the Doctor just shoots a big gun, which, by the way, comes from the same writer who says the Doctor never wields a gun. This comes from the same writer who established that. So, and Mrs. Flood just gets away. Meanwhile, Conrad has a whole redemption arc, and Ruby said, "Oh, you done something good. This world you did kept people happy and fed." And I'm like, Ruby, the disabled were basically homeless, and trans people didn't exist. So, no, this was not a good world. In my honest opinion, it should have been Conrad who was eaten. If I'm going to be honest with you, Conrad should have been eaten. That bastard deserves it. We should have kept 2 Ronnies, but oh well. It's iconic that Mrs. Flood survived, though. I honestly want to see Mrs. Flood / the Ronnie in the future, and I want to see her regenerate into Archie Punjabi's Ronnie, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But and I do know that the original ending of Reality War was the Doctor and Belinda, after reality is fixed, partying, and with Susan watching on while Poppy is slowly erased from history, with Ruby being the only one aware of it, and maybe the Doctor, but is keeping that secret from Belinda. But that ending was thrown out the window as soon as Shruti Gatwa announced he was leaving Doctor Who because he could not cancel his other projects. So, because of that, they had to reshoot the ending in February, cut out the bit where they're partying, where Susan appears, and instead have Ruby tell everyone, hey, Poppy exists, and the Doctor goes out of his way to sacrifice his own life so that Poppy could live, by stretching the timeline so vast that it could undo the fabric of reality. And the most jaw-dropping thing happens, and I'm going to be honest, this is my favorite part of the whole season, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor appears. She was popped out of her timeline by the 15th Doctor's actions, and she is out here basically saying, don't do it. She tries to convince him, but she knows she can't because the Doctor is stubborn. So instead, she basically gives him a hint on how to help himself. And honestly, I cried when I saw Jodie Whittaker. I loved her era so much. I feel like her era was so overhated by a lot of misogyny, but I also believe that there was some bad writing decisions in her era, but I feel like a good chunk of the hatred she got was misogyny. And then the Doctor did save Poppy. She was no longer half human, half Time Lord. She said was full human and was Belinda and Richie's daughter. And only the Doctor was aware of it, which is an extra sting in the heart for the Doctor. Like, imagine you have a whole ass daughter of somebody, only for reality to be rewritten, and she's not your daughter anymore. And the Susan thing gets unresolved, and the Doctor is regenerating. And then the most jaw-dropping thing happens. He regenerates into Billie Piper. You know, the girl who played Rose earlier on the show. And I was just like, I gasped. I was like, what the hell? Now, let's be clear. I have no problem with Billie Piper playing the 16th Doctor. but I'm scared that Russell was going to pull a 14 and only relegate her to specials and then have her regenerate after her specials are done. I don't want that. I want her to be the 16th Doctor with her own set of seasons. It really does anger me how done dirty the 14th Doctor was. And people are saying the 14th and 16th Doctor should meet. I'm like, yes, that's honestly a good idea. That's a good idea for like an opening episode for the next season or a finale. And I do know season 3 is happening. I do know it's happening. And I want to see Billie Piper's Doctor be in it. And I know the Rodney / Mrs. Fled is going to also return in the future, but and then the credits roll and it says introducing Billie Piper, but it doesn't say as the Doctor. And here's the part where I don't think fans are overthinking it. I think this was like an error in post-production. I think it's an error, or people are just overthinking it. I believe that Billie Piper is the 16th Doctor. She's not Bad Wolf or anything like that. I believe she is the 16th Doctor. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be very upset at Russell. But I believe that she is going to be the 16th Doctor and she's going to stick around for a couple of seasons. I'm still mad that Ncuti Gatwa's era was cut so short, but I also understand that he's a very booked and busy actor, and he had other projects to do outside of Doctor Who, and I do feel like it's a little unfair for him to have to cancel projects in favor of Doctor Who. He's probably one of the most busiest actors to ever play the Doctor ever, right besides David Tennant. And I believe overall, this episode was a mixed bag for me. It's certainly not the worst finale. There are worse finales than this one. At least this finale did not break canon. I mean, it mentioned what the Spy Master did, how he caused a genetic explosion, which rendered the Time Lord sterile, which doesn't break canon. What I don't like is what they did to Omega and the Ronnie. That is my biggest conniption with it, how it was resolved like that. And going into the future, Russell, I expect villains to be resolved much more fleshed out, much more better. This episode could have been done better. That's honestly my opinion. But at the same time, I'm not a showrunner. I may be a writer, but I'm not a showrunner. I don't make these big decisions. Russell and Disney does. So it's his vision. I don't know what the hell's going on with the vision. I'm also sick and tired of seeing gods. I like the Pantheon Discord, but if you're going to bring back gods, bring back the Trickster. Bring back the Trickster. Like, that damn baby has caused more problems for reality than I have ever seen. At this point, reality in Doctor Who is in omni-shambles. It's looking like the timeline's a big ball of mess, and it's like, what the hell is going on? And I want Doctor Who to stop returning classic villains and doing sequels to classic stories. Instead, they should just make new stories, because they did so well with those new stories in this season, like the Story in the Engine, Lux. But I believe that when Doctor Who writes their own stories instead of doing sequels and nostalgia baiting, I believe it can do really well. That's honestly my opinion. So hopefully for next season, I do want to see I was really upset that Ncuti Gatwa never faced a Dalek or the Master or a Cyberman. Though he did face the Cyberman in the comics, I still believe that he should have faced the Daleks and Cybermen or the Master at some point on screen. I feel like we're going to see the Master next season because that tooth thing is still unresolved. And we still don't know who the boss is, who was mentioned by both Anita and the Meep. So I feel like Russell is playing the long game here. But as I also recall, it was Ncuti Gatwa who told Russ, because when Mrs. Fled was introduced, he had no idea she was going to be the Ronnie. It was Ncuti Gatwa who said, let's make her the Ronnie. And I honestly like that idea. This is not going to be the last time we see the Ronnie, by the way. Mrs. Flood will return. But yeah, this has been Time to Lizzie signing out. Next video I'm going to be doing is my top 5 Ncuti Gatwa Doctor Who episodes, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name. I know his name is not. Yeah, I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name. His native tongue is not my first language. I'm sorry, But yeah, have a good day and peace out.